There's nothing quite as frustrating as continually failing in 1v1 situations when you go to take a man on. And so in this video, I want to give you some things that are going to help you in these situations so that you start breaking ankles, so you start just leaving defenders in the dust, and so you start ultimately winning more of these 1v1 situations so that you're much more dangerous for your team and you just get that satisfaction of being able to beat your man in these situations. So that's coming up next. I would like to thank the sponsor of this video, the Bob and Brad massage gun for athletes. Now, I've been using this massage gun for the better part of a year now, and I have to say it is hands down the best one I have ever used. This massage gun was designed by world-class physical therapists Bob and Brad, the most famous physical therapists on YouTube, so it is specifically made for patient and athlete recovery in mind. It is more lightweight and also quieter than a lot of the massage guns on the market, but it still is very powerful so that it can get deep into the muscles you'll need as you recover from your training sessions and matches. Now, the massage gun itself comes in a traveling case with 5 different head attachments and even a manual that in true physical therapist fashion shows you exactly how to massage every muscle essentially in your body correctly. With over 6,000, that's right, 6,000 5-star reviews, you can't go wrong with this massage gun. It is one I personally use almost every single day and I absolutely love. You can get it through the link in my description and even receive a 10% discount through my code BOBBRADG10. I'll have it on screen and also in the description. So the first thing I want to talk about, especially for those of you who may be a little bit new, or you're just like, you're losing all of these situations, right? So maybe every now and then, like once in a blue moon, you'll beat someone one-on-one, but it's not really happening that much. I want you to focus on what's called your 3 moves. And this is really simple. You're just going to pick 3 moves that are effective and you want to master, and you're going to work on them every single day. And usually you want these to be moves that work in your position. I always say that my 3 that I did when I was really doing this was the step over, the body feint, and the Cruyff turn, and getting good at those 3 moves to a really high level has helped me in so many match situations to beat players, get out of trouble, and so on. And so the idea is you're not going to work on too much else, or you can, but you're going to every day focus on just these 3 moves heavily as extra training. And the idea behind this is because you're focusing on these 3, you're going to get really, really good at them, and you're going to actually get to the point where you can use them in game situations. Number 2 is you want to get good at taking close touches and keeping it close. Now, this is something you can just observe with the best dribblers. They're amazing, yes, at being able to push the ball out and run onto it, but you'll also notice that they take very quick touches, keep the ball close, so that if a defender tries to lean in, tries to take the ball away, swipe it away, even get their body in a better position than the attacker, it's really hard to do so. You can look at dribblers, of course, like Messi. Hazard was also really good at this. Sanchez, when he was at Arsenal, like they were really good at taking very quick, close touches, and if a defender tried to get in, they get their body between it or take it away. It just gives you so much more flexibility in what you're going to do. And that way you can tease a defender, you can almost dare them to try and lash in for the ball, and because it's closer to you, because you have it in control, you're going to be able to more effectively take it away from them. So learning to master this kind of dribbling style is so crucial. I always talk about Kaká. I loved him because he not only was so good at striding onto the ball, he knew when to do that, but also to keep it close so that if a defender did try and stop their momentum and go in for the ball, he'd push it past them or be able to protect it, etc., etc. Now, number 3 is to be decisive and take calculated risks. And what this is you're not doubting yourself or second-guessing yourself in these situations. Especially in attacking situations, you need to be decisive, because a lot of the time it takes like a split second for something to come off. And if you don't take that split second, the opening just is removed. It's not there anymore. And so I'm not telling you to every single time run at your man or try something crazy or anything like that. It's calculated risks. But if you're going to go for it, go 100% committed for it. And a good thing too, when you take someone one-on-one, if you keep it close and you do a lot of the other things I'm talking about, you'll be able to recover even if the move doesn't come off. But you need to take those risks and be decisive. For example, if I know I'm going to run directly at the guy and do a step over and try and get to the byline, I'm going going to commit to it 100%. And maybe it'll come off, maybe it won't, maybe I make a mistake, whatever else it is, but that's better than second guessing myself, getting in my own head, or whatever else. Again, I may not do that every single time. I may sometimes turn back around and pass it back or pass to a teammate or do a different move or do something completely different. But ultimately, to be decisive when you've kind of have that instinct come up and you've made that decision to really commit to that choice. And when you're more decisive, you're more sure in what you're doing, you'll do it more confidently, you'll do it more effectively, and it will work more often. And number 4 is to be persistent. And the best example I can use for 1v1s when it comes to this is Luis Suarez. And when I was watching him all the time at Liverpool, also at Barcelona, he was so good at this. He would take players 1v1 and he'd like run into them sometimes and he would get the ball poked away but somehow still retain it. And he was just insanely persistent. He made like the life of defenders just a nightmare. And it's something I think is a really good trait in an attacker, especially when you're taking players 1v1. A lot of players, if the defender gets anything on the ball, like pokes it out just a little bit, a lot of attackers will go, and give up. Instead of trying to get their body maybe between the man and the ball or keep going or hassle them or try and force them into a mistake, even if they win the ball. And this does a few things. Not only will you now win more 1v1 situations by doing this, but you make defenders nervous. If you watch Suarez, you'll notice a lot of defenders made tons of mistakes around him because they were very nervous of making mistakes. It's funny how when you're nervous about making mistakes, you make more. But he was such a hassle, and he would get into opponents' heads because of this, because he would just keep going and going. He was so persistent. He would never give up on a ball. He would, try and chop the ball. It hit off the defender's knee, off his own knee. He'd get his body between it. He would try and nutmeg them. Sometimes it would come off or bounce off them, and he'd keep going. And he was just so incredibly persistent. And it's something that I would encourage you to add, because not only, again, will that make it more likely that you'll come out of the situation with the ball or something good, but that's also going to kind of get under the skin of defenders and make them more susceptible to making mistakes. Now, if you want to know what elite dribblers like Suarez, he was an elite dribbler, players like Messi, Hazard, what they do that you may not be doing or average dribblers do not do, go check out this video next where I go over the difference between elite dribblers and non-elite dribblers or average dribblers and what you can do to be more in that elite category.